Hello guys, our group today is going to present extrusion and diffusion process for the subject material fabrication and processes. So today we're going to speak on about how is the processes. So what is extrusion process? Extrusion is a metal forming process in which metal or workpiece is forced to flow through a die to reduce its cross section or convert it into a desired shape. This process is extensively used in pipes and steel rods manufacturing. The force used to extrude the workpieces is compressive in nature. The compressive force allows a large deformation in single pass. The most common material extruded are plastic and aluminium. As you guys can see in the slide, is the extrusion process.
Okay, so I'm going to explain about the working principle. So what is extraction just now? Extraction is a simple compressive metal forming process. In this process, piston or plunger is used to apply compressive force at workpiece. This process can be summarized as follows. The first one is the first billet or ingot, and this ingot is a metal workpiece of standard size is produced. Then, this billet is heated in hot extraction or remain at room temperature and placed into an extraction press. This extraction press is like a piston cylinder device in which metal is placed in cylinder and pushed by the piston. The upper portion of cylinder is fitted with die. Next process is now a compressive force is applied to this part of plunger fitted into press, which pushes the billet toward die. Then, the die is small opening of required cross-section. This high compressive force allows the work metal to flow through die and convert into desired shape. Now, the extruded part removed from press and is heat treated for better mechanical properties. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the types of extrusion. As you can see here, there are three types of extraction. So the first one, in the first diagram, this is the process of direct extraction. In this type of extraction process, metal is forced to flow in the direction of feet of punch. The punch moves toward die during extraction. This process requires higher force due to higher friction between billet and container. The next is indirect extraction. In this process, metal is flowed toward opposite direction of plunger movement. The die is fitted at opposite side of punch movement. In this process, the metal is allowed to flow through annular space between punch and container. And the third one is the hydrostatic extraction. This process uses fluid to apply pressure on billet. In this process, the friction is eliminated because the billet is neither in contact with cylinder wall or plunger. There is a fluid between the billet and plunger. The plunger applies force on fluid, which further applied on billet. Normally, vegetable oil are used as a fluid. This process accomplished by leakage problem and uncontrolled speed of extraction.
Now we are going to talk about the type of extrusion according to the working temperature. The first one is hot extrusion. If the extrusion process takes place above recrystallization temperature, which is about 50 to 60% of its melting temperature, the process is known as hot extrusion. The advantages of hot extrusion is low force required compared to cold working. The second one is easy to work in hot form, and the third one is the product is free from stain hardening. And the disadvantages of hot extrusion is low surface finish due to scale formation on extruded part. And the second one is increased die wear, and the third one is high maintenance required. And for cold extrusion, if the extrusion process takes place below crystallization temperature or room temperature, The process is known as cold extrusion. Aluminum cans, cylinder, collapsible tubes, etc. are examples of this process. The advantages of cold extrusion including high mechanical properties. The second one is high surface finish, and the third one is no oxidation at metal surface. And the disadvantages of cold extrusion is high force required, and the last one is product is accomplished with strain hardening.
Now we're going to talk about the application on this process. Extrusion is widely used in production of tubes and hollow pipes. Aluminium extrusion is used in structure work in many industries. Next one is this process is used to produce frames, doors, windows, and others in automotive industries. Last one is extrusion is widely used to produce plastic objects.
Now the process the process got advantage and disadvantages. So for the advantage, it has high extrusion ratio. It is the ratio of billet cross-section area to extruded part cross-section area. Next, it can easily create complex cross-section. This working can be done with both brittle and ductile materials. And lastly, it has high mechanical properties that can achieve by cold extrusion. So for the disadvantages, it has a high initial or setup cost, and lastly, high compressive force required. So that's all from our group. Thank you.